David Bowie was one of the most influential musicians of his time, constantly reinventing her persona and sound, from the 1960s hippie of Space Oddity through Ziggy Stardust and the Thin White Duke to his later incarnation as a soulful rocker. Where before artists and groups either evolved their musical style and appearance or remained unchanging, David Bowie seems to be in permanent revolution. He defined any label, music, fashion, sexuality, all were Bowie's playthings. He was a truly an artistic chameleon. Bowie was born Jones in January 1947 but reinvented himself as David Bowie in 1966 in order to avoid confusion with the Monkees' David Jones. He went on to study Budmish and mime and released his first album, The World of David Bowie, in 1967. But it was the title track of his second album, Space Oddity, which aroused more than passing interest. Initially a hit throughout Europe, it took 4 years to break the United States. Bowie followed up with initial success with The Man Who Sold the World, a complex album whose title track has been covered by artists as diverse as Lulu and Nirvana. His second album of 1971, A Hunky Dory, was arguably Bowie's first great work. Its 11 songs, including The Haunting Life on Mars and Oh Yeah You Pretty Things, redefined series rock of the 1970s generation. And the line from Hunky Dory's final track, the Bowie Brothers, seems to perfectly sum up David Bowie, chameleon comedian, Corinthian, and caricature. The following year saw the release of The Rise of and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, a Superbly executed concept album which included hits like Starman, Suffragette City, and Rock and Roll Suicide. The album huge popularity and the accompanying tour featuring Bowie as the sexually ambitious Ziggy brought him worldwide stardom. By now married to the former Angie Barnett, with who he divorced with in 1980 and with a young son, Zoe, Bowie was a hedonist of breathtaking scale, living a rock and roll lifestyle fueled by drink, drugs, and vigorous bisexuality. Having killed off Ziggy in 1973 brought Aladdin Sane, which cemented Bowie's reputation in the United States. Songs like Cracked Actor explored dark, seedy side of fame, while Jenny Jean was an old-fashioned rocker. As well as writing and performing, Bowie now branched out, producing Lou Reed's Transformer album and writing or producing Moth, the hopeless hit single All the Young Dudes. While he was touring with his next album, The Apocalyptic Diamond Dogs, David Bowie recorded the Young Americans album in Philadelphia. These dalliance with the Plastic Soul, continuing on the album station to the station on and brought Bowie hits including Golden Years, Knock on Wood, and his first US number of single, Fame, co-written with John Lennon and Carlos Alomar. But once more, David Bowie changed direction, moving to Berlin and working on a three-peak of albums, Low, Heroes, and Lodger. Produced in collaboration with Brian Eno, these dance works were perhaps the most experiential of Bowie's career, mixing electronic sound and avant-garde lyrics to produce a radical and influential song cycle. The late 1970s saw Bowie concentrating on acting, starring in Nicholas Roge's The Man Who Fell to the Earth and opposite Marlene Dietrich in the lamentable Just a Gigolo. The critically acclaimed Lodger album was followed by Scary Monster, notable for its groundbreaking video accompaniment and the single Ashes to Ashes, which updated the story of Major Tom. But in the 1983 saw a new, driven David Bowie return to form with the Let's Dance album. Hits like China Girl and Modern Love, coupled with the spectacular series Moonlight World Tour, introduced Bowie to a whole new generation. And his 1985 duet with Mick Jagger, a cover version of Martha and the Vandals Dancing in the Street, was a major factor in the success of the band Aid project and accompanying Live Aid concert. Bowie returned to acting, playing the lead in The Elephant Man on Broadway as well as typically exotic dancer exotic characters in the film Cat People and the Hunger. The late 1980s were dominated by Bowie's involvement with his new band, a postmodernist heavy metal outfit, Tin Machine. This project was designed to allow Bowie to re-examine his rock and roll roots, produced two albums of questionable quality, and was panned by the listening public and critics alike. As proof of his enduring popularity, in the 2000s, he was invited to headline the world-famous Glastonbury Festival for the second time, nearly 3 decades after his debut there. Bowie's 2002 album Hedon saw a long-awaited return to the form of indefinable master of rock style, and then man who, through his long and varied career, influenced everyone from Iggy Pop to Boy George. In 2006, he made a surprise return to the big screen, playing a fictional version of real Serbian-American actor inventor Nikola Tesla in Christopher Nolan's illusionist drama The Prestige, for which he adopts a thick Eastern European accent. After a decade without a studio album, he released the next day in 2013, surprising fans who thought he had retired. It became his first UK number one for 20 years. The same month, a retrospective on his career, David Bowie is, opened at the V&A in 2013, becoming the museum's fastest-selling show, celebrating his legacy as a style icon as well as a musician and performer. His latest album, the critically acclaimed Black Star, was released on his 69th birthday, just the days before his death. He survived by his second wife Iman Mohammed Abdallah Muid and children Duncan Jones, the acclaimed sci-fi director, and Alexandra Zahara